There we go.
Cool.
Ooh.
I guess you can do the honors this time since I always do it.
I don't know. I don't want to break the tradition.
I guess
I
so.
I don't want to break that tradition. That's not what I want to. I want to do something different on.
Well, all right.
All right.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Breakers of Bread podcast. I am your host, Detavius Black, and I am accompanied by the co-host,
Jay Wilkins.
Yeah, you already know. I actually just had this thought. Well, it was a couple days ago that I had this thought, and I was actually thinking. I was like, I hope that I can change. Like, I can change Breakers of Bread into from being a podcast into its own entity, and do, because I was like, man, it would be so cool to if I have my own business or whatnot, but have a whole thing, how there's I'm trying to think, all deaf digital, I guess, Wild and Out or all the other things, but it'd be cool to have a Bread Breakers Entertainment or something like that, and
Gotcha.
there's just multiple things that fall under that, and different people do different things and whatnot, and the podcast is just a thing that comes from it, but yeah, I was like, man, that would be so cool, because I was like, man, Breakers of Bread podcast, it's so it seems like there's so much more to it, but I don't know, and I think one of the reasons that it didn't really, I would say, and I'll have to admit this to myself, it didn't kick off how I wanted it to in 2019, because I had too many arms stretched out in too many places, and I couldn't focus on it. I mean, there was some other things, and I don't really want to disclose that, right? There's some things that I want to disclose when I'm successful, because right now I just feel like a hater. And so, but if I'm successful, it's like, oh no, that
was the lesson.
Yeah, it was but right now it's just man, you just hating. And so there's things currently even going on that I'm I will not talk about until I reach that level of success, when I'll be like, okay, this was what was happening at this point, and this is how I felt. Whether I was in the right or wrong, this is how I felt, and this is why I don't want to be treated like this anymore.
Gotcha.
Things
that. Okay.
But
all right.
I'm hoping that I guess Bread Breakers Entertainment becomes I want people to be on it. I want it to be a whole team thing, and have different people coming in, or it'd be a branch of something, or I wouldn't mind.
I was impressed that you and Jakad did one.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. 2 times. Yeah, 2 times.
Okay.
Yeah. Wait. Yeah, this is I guess technically the second one, because we had ours and then we did ours, and Jace was like, "Oh, I want to be on one." And I was like, "Dude, just." So yeah.
So my minion's been running around doing stuff while I've been working. Yes, definitely. It's some things that's going on that I definitely will have to talk about. Well, actually, first of all, this is January 1st.
This is January
2020.
1st. Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I want to recognize.
Yes.
We made it another year, and we made it another year. Birthdays and New Year's.
Yes.
I am happy of my survival of 2019. I think it was a survival thing at some points in time, and I'm happy that my quarter is starting over. I get to have a fresh mind about it. My decision to run my dishwasher wasn't the best, but I want to have clean dishes for 2020.
Yeah,
So, but yes, definitely it's things that I have to make come to fruition before I talk about, but because yes, I'm just gonna sound like the angry black man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't want to do that.
I don't. It's not for y'all yet. You know what I mean? It's not for, because the story ain't written. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You can't talk about the story in the middle of the book and be like, yo, I'm gonna figure this out. Yes. I believe that, writers gonna be writers and do what they do, but I wanna be able to take notes.
Yeah.
And talk about how I learned from whatever feeling that was, and this is how I got there from there. So
yeah,
I was about to. This is the thing. The reason why I want to take this approach to being very selective about the things that I say and how I do, because they don't want no smoke with me.
Oh,
I don't even want it. There's some things that happened so far. I'm like, yo, I know what patients feel like now.
Yeah.
I'm finally successful with the patients that I've developed over the years, and it's paying off. So I have, like you said, I'm working on two things: this and trading. The people that helped me get to where I am, so thankful and blessed. And I feel, but nope, I want to get to where I want to get to. And then, like I said, I will help everybody. I promise. I know I have a plan, a vision, everything. I'm all over it, but I cannot. I tried. I know what it looked like, and it got ugly.
Oh God, yes.
Ugly. I'm like, no, I ain't that person. I'm not. I'm a savage. I understand. I got that. But I you know, I don't want to. No, that's rough.
Yeah. I didn't expect anything from 2019 that happened to happen. And it was because there was I'll say this, 90% of everything that happened, I will say, was my doing. Like, he got down in his chair. I will say, like, probably 90% of the things that happened, and or if I'm gonna be quote unquote lenient, like 80% of the things that happened because of the choices that I made, and my knowledge and how I thought I should handle situations and whatnot. But I will say that, like, about almost 100% of the reactions that have happened, I did not expect. And it's one of those things where it's like, understanding about, paying the price and having consequences for your actions and whatnot, and just trying to handle things. And I guess if there was a metaphor for, if there was a metaphor for how 2019 was kind of going, it was like trying to fight a war with a one-man army, and everyone sees you as an entire brigade, and you're like, it doesn't matter how much I accomplish. I don't care how many medals you see on my chest. Just know I'm still one man. Like, it's just, and I still think when I remember, I think you've only said it twice, but I remember when you were talking about, like, while the furlough was happening, and he was like, who cared during the furlough when it was happening? No one cared about, like, me during the furlough. It's like, hey, it's like, oh snap, dang, that's crazy. So we still gonna eat? Yeah. And it's like, what about those beats? And it's, it was like, dang, okay. But it's like, that's what made me realize that. And see, y'all think that we're talking about, like, just like kids, like just the kids. No, it was everyone.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody.
And of course, if you showed your support during that time, you are who you are. You know who you are.
People did show support.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
They showed a bunch of support.
Yes.
But for people, like, some of the general public was like, y'all gonna get y'all money. I'm like, what? Bill collectors, you call them and they be like, well, okay, so when we gonna get our payment?
Yeah.
I'm calling you because I'm not getting paid. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like,
the government opened back up and they start paying us. Like, I couldn't understand it. Like, so
yeah,
F your feelings. Nobody really care about how you feel when stuff is happening to you, because either they don't, boys in the hood type thing, they don't know. They don't care. You know what I mean? But, every day I still got to do the same things I was doing.
Yeah.
Regardless of what tools I had. I didn't have the same tools I had prior to getting paid, but I still had to do the job. So,
yeah.
You got break out them old them old rusty dusties and do something with them because people got to eat.
Yeah. One of the things that this year for sure has, I'm glad that you didn't put a knife on my plate because I wasn't going to use it.
Yeah, I know.
The more and more I was progressing, that's a good word for it, transgressing through 2019 because it was nothing but transgressions, Jesus Christ. But the more and more I progressed through 2019, because there was a moment where I was just like, dang, like I said so many prayers, I feel like I'm not getting any help. But it was this moment where I was just like, and it's like weird to explain it like this. Sometimes God doesn't show up so people can show out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people think like, okay, he's not showing up, which means that he doesn't want to help. But at the same time, it's like, it's almost like master and student when the student is like over here getting jumped. And then it's like, you ain't going to jump in there. It's like, I trained y'all too. Like, I trained y'all to help y'all. Like, do I have to jump into every situation? And of course he can, but it's like,
figure it out.
Yeah. And not only that, but it's like, okay, they're going to figure it out somehow, some way. But people, I think you start to expose yourself to, I guess, trueness the more and more, I guess, like the harder situations are, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And the realness of life. And I don't want to say it like this, but I think that everyone in a sense should experience that level of struggle so they can see how people truly are.
Yes.
And this is, I think if some people are going to hear this and say like think I'm like sneak dissing or something like that, because like I said, I'll admit my faults. Like there's a whole bunch of mistakes that I made, but there's certain situations that happened in 2019 that either deal with myself or other people that I was just like, these are the true colors that you showed during the situation, me included. And this is how you are. Like this is inside, there is a part of you that is this way. And to look at that, to let that be exposed and not say, I want to work on this, that also shows something.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, these different things where it's like, I'm trying to think of like things that happened this year. Like there's a lot of things that happened this year that I couldn't even account for. Or last year, I should say, not this year, mm-hmm. But there was so many times where I was just like, dang, I got like $6 in my bank account. How the heck am I even going to like figure all of this out? Or like I have this, and this. And some of them were caused by mistakes that I made. And others were caused by like just not having that financial literacy that I should have had prior, or just different things and whatnot. But it always takes me back to just this moment when I was in LA, just thinking about tribes and how the whole purpose of having a community is so you can have people who can help you. And it's not like an IOU situation. It's like I want you to be great and we're just going to do whatever it takes to get there. And that's also the thing, is seeing potential in other people, where it's like, in a weird way, you need to see the payoff for you as well. Because, you know, if you're bringing this thing up, like kids, mm-hmm. like, of course, people, I guess, in a sense, like you shouldn't raise your kids for the payoff, but you still need to consider the payoff. So you wouldn't put so much effort into me if you didn't see yourself, in a sense, having an early retirement. We'll say it like that. You know, it's like, no, I want to see this happen. Like I'm having an early retirement because of your success, but I'm displaying this love and affection because that's how I genuinely feel. And so I think that this 2019, and I said it as a joke to Amy, but I think it was legit. Like 2019, I couldn't see clearly. And you said it's like it's crazy how one number off can throw off your whole equilibrium for vision. But I was like, yo, I see clear. In 2020, it's like I
one digit off.
Yeah.
One digit.
And
I didn't see it till it was meant to be seen. Because my thing is, I have the fact that I have a decade. Like I thought about y'all and said, you know, what's the age when you're supposed to be old enough to take care of yourself, to self-sustain. Mm-hmm. Where was I at that age? What was I doing? What was my mind frame? What was my frame makeup of, or what was the foundation makeup to support the frame? What did it look like? So I said by 25, all of you should be able to self-sustain.
Yeah.
If you don't, and you're not, I think by that time, that's when you'll feel you'll get the least amount of financial help from me, because I do believe you do need to figure out how to survive on your own, because I had to do it. And my thing is, if something happens to me, are you prepared to take care of yourself? Because people will take care of kids. People got a hard time taking care of kids, other people's kids, older kids. Mm-hmm. But people got the hardest of all of the age group is taking care of another adult.
Yeah.
That's not their own child.
Which makes it worse.
Mm-hmm. Your mom or your dad died and you 22, 23 years old. Well, sorry, your mom and dad died at a young age. That's all they would say.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
But when you're 16, it's a tragedy because, those type of things.
Yeah.
But when you're an adult, you'll be like, sucks to be you.
Hope you can make it.
Mm-hmm.
Call me if you need anything.
Yes, that's the one. That's it right there. That is it. And you know how that's a double-edged sword right there. And if my kids base their lives on that right there, then it's either gonna be my fault or their fault that's how people become homeless. Because I teach my kids to be so proud, I gotta make sure they reach out, they know how to reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
But if you're not worried about me or you're not checking it, y'all still children. You know what I mean? Y'all still have the developing your impressions, not being impressionable, but developing your impressions about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Your counsel. Who do you go to for advice? Who do you go to for this kind of advice?
Yeah.
Because, or I should say, for example, that would be, you need some rah-rah advice, so you go to this person who gives great rah-rah advice. You go to this person for, relationship advice,
mm-hmm.
Something like that. Or you go to this person for more of a philosophical type thing. You know what I mean? So it's just different. The different counsels, that's what you develop from this age to about 25 to, let's say, 30.
Yeah.
But what product am I, or how do I feel about your progression? If something happens to me, are you able to sustain yourself? And that's my concern.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I want to get to the place I want to get to. I this is the end of the beginning. Let's start this. I'm there. I know exactly how I want to do it. I have the frame. I have the dream. I think good and bad, I did not have the discipline. If I can critique myself, I did not have the discipline to stay the course that I needed to at the time. However important it was, I let it be more important than doing what I had to do to get to. I still took care of everything, but again, like I said, I did things to avoid this very thing.
Oh,
cookies.
Oh, I'm so excited for these cookies. Did they turn out all right?
They still need a minute.
Oh, okay.
So,
do you think how different do you think things would be now if we, I guess, if you had kind of stayed the course and whatnot?
I would be probably staying the course, not staying the course.
Mm-hmm.
I should say, not staying the course, probably added a year and a half to 3 years of time. I could have got this but what I do know is, and I said today, that this is 2020. 2030 is my timeline. This is the decade of destiny. This is going to be the decade right here. By the time 2030 hits, that's it for me. This is the year I turn 46 and I retire in 10 years, Carson, to graduate from high school. That's it for me until I figure out what I look like in retirement as far as what I can afford.
Yeah.
Me, Shantae, Fred, Thelma, Charnay, we are all Wilkins. We all taking care of ourselves without our parents for the most part, through our lives, So we're all grown adults. At that point, I believe we've all made it without our parents to this age. And 10 years from now, you will have established yourself with the fact that if y'all need anything, y'all get it from each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time y'all take care of each other. That's all the speeches I'm gonna have with y'all when y'all cross over to do certain things. Now when you turn 25, it's gonna be another thing. Like when you turn 21, when you turn 18, when you turn 16. Just like Jakai will have a talk next year or this month when he turns 16.
Yeah.
He's about to get his license, so that's a whole nother different thing. So it's responsibilities that, you have to do as a man as you go through. So I say that by the time I have done like 34, 35 years of air traffic in the government, I'm good. I just got to figure out what my retirement looks like.
Yeah.
Or what I will look like inside of there. But I want to be a millionaire within the next 10 years. Period. I will call it a ginormous victory if I could do it before I retire. I will be equally as happy if I do it within retirement. Whenever I get there, I will love it and everything. It will be the greatest thing because that's what I want. But I know what I want in the process also.
Yeah.
So I put so much pressure on myself to do certain things, and then I was trying to do everything at the same time. So 2020, I'm like, I don't know what about it. I don't know what's has coming right through the day from yesterday has made this year so different. And I didn't do anything. I literally was asleep like by 10, 11 o'clock. I was knocked out. Like I woke up at 6 o'clock, my normal, I didn't go running. So, it's not, I don't have the endorphins from working out. So I don't know why I see this so clearly now. And I could not before.
Yeah.
That's the baffling thing. Did God say I was ready? That I have to go through all of that to show, hey, that is as important or not as important, or what did I saw a lot. I can't pinpoint one thing was more important than the other because I learned so much.
Yeah.
So at all those lessons, does he feel like, okay, I need you to see this now, or I need you to go through this real fast so you wouldn't lose focus again?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you would always be thankful and appreciate what you see. You see it, but are you going to appreciate it when you get it? Because, at first I was talking reckless. I promise. I was going to stun on them all. Every last one of them. Every last, I wanted to, I was going to stunt on every person that I thought was hating. And then I got more and more and more haters and more stuff on my back. So I understand now, like, okay. Because if I'm not going to be humble, then it's going to come with a cost.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise the thing I want to do with it is definitely help others, help other people, help to do X, Y, and Z, help my people.
Yeah. I was thinking about how different people consistently are created, like athletes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, how do you birth an athlete, or how do you birth a musician, or different things like that. And it's weird because we have a knack for wanting to, I guess, breed a specific type of human.
Mm-hmm.
And it always has to do with abilities. It's always like, let's breed a pastor. Let's hope that our child becomes a pastor, or let's hope that our child becomes a baseball star. We're going to do everything we can to make him a baseball star. But
okay, so I think I have so many different kind of, not so much theories, but thought processes about how to get that, like a perfect example to me for this is Floyd.
yes,
People seem like they try to have that lineage go so many times. Like, it's so much nepotism. You know what I mean? I see it at my job. Either you have a whole bunch of kids and you hope one of them is the one, right? You have a whole bunch of them and you put them in all kind of sports, and if they don't succeed, and or they get hurt,
yeah,
it's a lot of those kind of families where people that's who they rally around. You know what I'm saying? That's who they rally to. That they bring in all the now, is that a tribe mentality where it's good and y'all want to be as successful? You know what I mean? So that's the workhorse. You know what I mean? But if you just sitting there and your job is to spend money or make sure you have a nice house, but your actual job, you don't do nothing you don't do anything. You carry the water to the fight. And I'm not talking about like a case of water. You carry the water bottle that the water go in so they could spray in his mouth, so you could be ringside. That's your job. And when you're not doing that, you just holding up the belt. That's all you're doing. Yes, champ. Yeah. Yeah. That's all. Like, so you got how many, if you're doing something for the team and you're being a strong component for that team, then you have that. It's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it that somebody is doing a hell of a lot more work than you.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the best you can for them at your capacity. So, and that's double-edged from what we talked about, because you could think your circle, you're putting the best forth Detavius you can for your circle. And this person is like, yo, that's my dude. I love him to death. I want to see this and that and the third. I want us to make it. But they like what we call back in the day is plexing. They plexing on the block, chilling. While you out there hustling, they sitting on the porch, chilling, drinking 40s. Nah, man, look, this ain't ours. I'm out here, you're not the boss. We partners. So I think that's crazy.
Yeah,
I think that's crazy. It's still happening, and the reason why I think it's crazy because it's still happening today. It's just called something different or look like something different. But they're going back to the original breeding. Then you have the tribe mentality where you have a whole bunch and then try to pluck one, or everybody do that, and then you get the star and he's the workhorse.
It's like, oh
yeah. So then you have the ones that okay, they don't necessarily would be any other circle, but we get this Amazon looking mug and this Amazon looking girl, and then we put them together and they come out with somebody that's supposed to be an Adonis, and they don't.
It's like a Steve Urkel.
Or they look like it, but they just don't have the mentality to do it.
Oh, like
some people don't have that killer mentality to go out there. They have all the attributes, but they can't get their mind to be like
what T was talking about with his boy. Yeah. He was like he it's like I can see it, but he don't have it. It's like it's like, what do you do? I always wonder if as people, do we sacrifice wanting to breed better humans for ability? Because I see a lot of superstars with very poor personality, but they have amazing work ethic. And it's like, or just people in general. It doesn't even have to be superstars. It's like you are trying to train the next protege, or you're doing all of this to do like all of these just different things, or you're just a whole bunch of different things, or not even just for abilities, but I'll say what's the word? And this is even going to sound weird. You're breeding for oppressive purposes. Like, you do not want your female population to become better than what they already are, however that may look. Or, I feel like a lot of what we do is
perfect.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck out. Dang. But this might be a little intense, but I feel like a lot of what we do is just like, it's servant like. It's just like, because like no one could have ever guessed that you would have for lack of better terms, a scholar, architect, a creative, and an all-out, outgoing, amazing angel. But you like boxing and cars. Those are your things. But I've never seen you try to make us boxers or make us into cars.
Mm-hmm.
And you like air traffic. The only thing I feel like you're like, I want to teach you guys is trading, which I can see. But that's understandable, but the way I've seen you raise us is you are trying to breed better humans. And you always say, you just always have to be better, and not in ability, but just in how we are.
A better person.
Yeah. How we think, what we do. And I think about that all the time because, I don't see them going out and then just causing a ruckus. We're all pretty quiet people, which that's another thing. I'm like, if something's causing trouble with any of us, then it's making noise because we're quiet. We don't really make, even Jakai, as outspoken as he is still, he's still is quiet nature, but I don't see that a lot. And that's, I think it bothers me a little bit because I'm just like, there's no emphasis anymore on breeding better people. We went from wanting to build like, carpenters and stuff that made sense because it's all about, but now
the labor force.
Yeah.
They everybody's big on their kids on the labor force. And I always am bragging on y'all abilities. But the thing I mostly talk about is how y'all are as people. Like your creativity and things that you do for mentoring and stuff like that. Yeah, your entrepreneurship and you wanting your own business and us building a podcast and stuff like that. Jakai and his intelligence, Jace and just the way he has become his own outspoken person. Like he has a quiet, solid assassin personality. Like he love you to death, literally. He can love you to death because he the type of dude. That's a dude. You know how you know what you get, kind of. When you flip that cat back, you don't know what you're gonna get. Whatever come out, whether it is the loving, rub your face and be like, I don't want to hurt you, to slit your throat. I don't know what's coming out of there. I know what I'm getting with Carson. I'm getting probably Shantae 2.0. I know what I'm getting out of Jakai because it's gonna be mostly his sarcastic 1-2s, and he gonna eventually, it's gonna come to, all right, this enough of this. And then again, with you, it's gonna be like, hey, let's get this popping. We taking too long. I've been standing around. I'm ready. You ain't said nothing but a word. So let's go. I've been waiting up for this my entire life. Like, so, I kind of know all of my 4 kids, but Jace is the one that's my wild card.
Yeah,
I'm like, you don't know I don't know what's coming out.
No.
So, well, just wait, because somebody gonna push that button and think they funny. And it's either gonna be, bail money or lawyer money, one of the two. Yes, I definitely think, and I think it comes from what you see within me and what I try to do with y'all, is the fact that I think in this time frame, what people are doing to other people and what people are doing to their circle, what they doing to their family to get ahead. I mean, I'm all about, if you're a crab in a barrel, I'm all about stepping on your face to get past you, because you're definitely not helping me. I'll bring you along, I promise. But if your mind does not change, then Dion Cole, where he was like, you were supposed to meet them at a level, and they were at the top of whatever they was, and you was coming up, and that was your next level. You had a whole bunch of other levels to go up, and they stayed at that level. And fam, if you want to try to keep me here because you comfortable right here, I can understand when we can have some tension, but let me go and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But if I'm trying to move up and you are doing everything because you are comfortable at that level, or you can't level up, and for whatever reason, and then you try to hold me to whatever that is, I'm going to step right on your face, on your head, on your arm, on your torso, on your corpse. I'm getting away from you because I'm not trying to do that to anybody ever. Yeah. Sometimes I'm not like Bijan. I'm boosting him up all the time because he's doing something I want to do. And I got genuinely love for my brother that I asked him And we talked about, and I wanted to see him do that.
Yeah.
I always love to hear his success and him being successful, because I'm truly happy for somebody else that's in my field. That give me the insight to be like, okay, not better or worse, but I know I'm just as good as he is. Not even, like I said, not even better or worse, because we came through together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he got a head start a year before me and brought me over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm always happy to see somebody doing exactly what I want to do. Like nothing is different. You know, okay, we two different people and we do different things, but as far as trading is concerned, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's what we stayed up nights practicing and back testing and talking and screenshots and, you know, nights and nights of us being up on end, and he's able to do it. And I'm unable to, for what responsibilities I have in my life. And I'm like, all for it. I'm so, man, that's like saying somebody like your homeboy made it.
Yeah.
Like your people, somebody you came up with, they actually made it.
That's a good feeling.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
dang. All right.
Yeah. Even if you don't make it over there, I am genuinely happy. And the only thing I would want to do is to go visit.
Yeah.
You know, and straight up, if you need to still call me to chop it up and we, you know, iron some stuff out, I'm not trying to get nothing from you, dog. Nothing. I never want nothing from Bijan, ever. He gave me everything, like all the people in Tampa that I know, all the people that he put me in contact with, all of his friends that he grew up with. Yeah. You know what I mean? I could come up on the scene and chill with them and not need him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I know within there, I'm still a people, and I'm actually, in all essence, I'm still a guest, really. You know what I mean? It's because they don't know me like they know him.
Yeah.
But I still feel love every time I come through. That is, man, that's all because of him and trading.
Yeah.
So I already won, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, 2020 gave me a lot of comeback to my roots, where how I had this dream and I was like, yo, I want this.
Yeah.
And now whatever happened inside of there, the distractions, I think it was a test. Like, these are the distractions that could come with it.
Yeah.
Just know you have to deal with these. You know, just because it's going to look like it's going to be easier, you know, managing big numbers, you know, thinking that it's going to be the same at this number just because, no, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, getting off reading and educating yourself and, you know, staying on a regimen of exercising and, you know what I mean? Your diet, all that. You know, it's a balance. And when one element got taken away, it got off balance. So it to a point that it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
But again, I did things within there that I tried to avoid my entire life. It still happened. I just got the paperwork to get everything back on track now. So
here's a question.
And
I wanted to talk about this before we got it. This has been the longest intro we've ever made.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was more like I had the plan of doing it kind of like this because I wanted what we were planning to talk about to be part 2. But I knew that whatever I wanted to get,
word up, I could get something else to drink so we could get into it.
I wanted to hit a couple of those points to a little bit to kind of like restart, refresh, and get some things off of our chest and whatnot. Especially with coming into the new year, and there's a couple things that I'm just gonna have to like bite the bullet on. So I want to talk about Death Stranding a little bit, not the game itself, but just a couple things because it kind of piggybacks off of what we were talking about. I'm trying to figure out because it's not really a spoiler. Like you know you've seen it, you've seen me play it, so you kind of know the premise of the game.
If there's something in there, I'm not I gotta see it for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm not a you can't tell me about the movie type thing. People don't tell me I ain't see it yet. No,
I'm like, I don't care.
I'm not that person. No. I don't care.
We live in and on that note, we live in a world where spoilers are so imminent that you'd have to stay off of the internet. You'd have to stay off the streets. You can't even do anything. If you want, you can't even go to the movies and avoid a spoiler because someone's going to walk out the movie theater and be like, oh, so-and-so died in the movie. You're like, you have to walk in knowing that whatever, because I think the only thing, this is what really made me, because I was already like mad about spoilers, but this is what made me kind of like, spoilers don't mean anything to me anymore. In Endgame, when they were like, oh yeah, Tony Stark dies. And I was like, I was kind of prepared for that. Like I kind of knew that was going to happen. I was wondering who all was going to die. So I was like, they were like, yeah, Tony Stark dies. And I was like, okay, but then they were like, oh, Black Widow dies too. And I was like, I did not see that coming. Okay, you got me there. But it didn't take away from the movie. If anything, it just made it more intense because I knew it was going to happen. I didn't know when, how, or why. And that's what freaked me out because I was like, this is a lot more. I think, and you know what? I think spoilers make movies more intense. I think if there was a trailer and it was a big movie and they showed a very pivotal scene, I honestly would freak out because I'm like, I have to go into the movie knowing that's going to happen, but I don't know how. It's such a build up to a climax. It's not even a climax. But so I wanted to talk about Death Stranding because there's a thing about, I don't know why, like now I'm like back on this thing with like humanity and just like figuring out humanity and all this different stuff. But observing people from, you know, just these past few years and whatnot, and just the media and a whole bunch of things. One of the things that was interesting about the game Death Stranding, which shout out to Kojima for making an amazing game. Kojima Productions, I should say, because it was not just a one-man squad. It was his whole team. But it's an amazing game. I would consider it the best game of 2019. And it's good because God of War and Red Dead came out the years prior, so I didn't have them to combat with and whatnot when it came to Death Stranding, because honestly it would have probably I'd have been like, ooh. But no, I think the Death Stranding is like my favorite game of 2019. I think it's honestly my favorite game of this decade. I absolutely love it. I didn't think that a game so simple could be like, and the funny thing is I was like, well, it's Hideo Kojima, so I know it's gonna be good. Because, you know, he's the reason Metal Gear Solid even is a thing. People be like, oh, but Konami, yeah, they were the UPS. Hideo was the Amazon. He was also what was making all of this happen. Metal Gear would not exist without Hideo Kojima. So, but when I was playing, they were talking about mass extinctions and how there's the big five, and one of the things that always gets me is I think about all the extinctions that have happened on this earth and whatnot, and yet the only extinction that could ever happen because of its own kind is humans.
Yep.
And I think about that all the time, and I'm like, humans have a very funny way of doing. It's like they promote positivity, but they drive themselves to extinction in the same move. So they're like, we should get rid of toxicity, or like no more toxic relationships, but we never want to go to therapy, or we never want to do things. And we're always driving ourselves closer and closer. Like, I think even about this, suicide is such a big thing. Like, it's such a huge thing. I've never heard of animals or anything for that matter committing suicide. There probably is one, but it's part of like whatever it does. Humans are the only people that consider suicide a way out and not just a natural part of life, or just different things like that, because of how intense, or whether it's how intense or whatever. And we have every tool of a mass extinction, and we drive ourselves closer and closer to it. But it's not even because of the way that, like, I think it's such a simple answer, and it's only because of the fact that no one can get their crap together. And we refuse to want to do it. And when we try, like seeing this, like all of us in 2019, I was like, people really hate progression. Like I would see Jakai do his thing, and it was like, and just the stories he would tell, I'm like, how, like, why would you even, what in your, like, not Jakai, but like the people like around, I'm like, what in your mind wants, why would you want to progress that forward? Like there's some things where I'm just like, you, like it doesn't make sense to say I want to put this into existence. Like, and that's like people are always talking about, they're like, oh, I want to just study the mind of serial killers. I was like, honestly, you don't have to go far. You don't have to look at any of them because they're all around you. I think that people like that, they think similar to people just in the world. The only difference is that something went off. And I'm like, you don't have to go far. You want to study these people, but the only difference is that something went off. Now, there's some people who are deranged, but for the most part, most of the time, it's like, no, something just went off. So if you really want to study them, study the people outside. But no one's ever doing anything to get. And I'm just like, the more and more I think, I just see, like, when I was playing Death Stranding, I was just like, this is so sad to say, but it's almost better this way, because I have to cross leaps and bounds to run into trouble. I can walk outside and literally just get stole off on.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like, I was just like, I know the areas where I'll run into trouble, and it's not that many. But my main goal is connecting everyone through just literally delivering stuff and doing things and whatnot. But I have to, like, the amount of trouble that pops up, human trouble, not even mentioning the other things in that game, but it's like, I'm like, dang, it's almost better this way. Like, this is, it's almost like I was able to get to someone and give them the help they needed because there was no trouble in my way. The only difficult part was figuring out, like, do I need to take a truck or a bike? And I got there and with plenty of time to spare, but I was like, people are driving, like, we're literally driving ourselves to extinction, and we're not doing anything about it other than complaining, and we're becoming more and more sensitive. But what is it for? Like I hate to say it, but like, why would we promote veganism if it's just going to tear everybody apart? And it's like, of course it has its life benefits, but we're arguing over things that have to do with not even just lifestyle choices, but big corporations, or like the things that's going on, like with California fires and other things. And then we'll complain about how people use their water or electricity, or why the fire started, and we'll complain about that. Or how children, like some kids still get, whooped, or some things still happen, and we'll complain about that. Or I saw one thing, and someone asked a girl, like, on Twitter about, she's like, so do you guys in Africa, like, do you guys like live in huts or actually houses now? And, it was one of those where it was like, okay, whatever. But she posted a video of her with her house. It was like, oh, doing this whole day. And someone was like, what's wrong with living in a hut? There's still people that live in. And I was like, we complain about the stupidest things, and we're driving ourselves to extinction, and we don't even really realize it. I never in my life would think that two Black people would get into a disagreement over two, like, things that are a part of who we are. I was like, that made no sense whatsoever. She was like, what's wrong with living in a hut? Nothing. She wanted to display her house. She wanted to display what she had, because she's saying, hey, we live in houses. This is what we do. She said nothing disrespectful about anyone who lived in a hut. Nothing. We know people live in huts. We know. But the fact that someone from our own circle jumped in and said that's what like really kind of got me. I was like, why are we doing this? And it's been the strangest thing to me thus far. Like, I don't understand it, and I don't want it to happen. But the more I think about it, I'm just like,
so my thing about, I watch a lot of post-apocalyptic shows.
Yeah.
And the thing about post-apocalyptic shows that I absolutely like, if they do it correctly,
yes,
if it don't matter. In those type things, you have to have an ability. You have to be a leader. You have to know how to hunt. You have to know how to cook. You have to have some kind of trade. So the haves and the have-nots, they have drastically changed, because what used to be a great commodity is now useless. Like in a world of Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Money means nothing. And the instance, one of the best post-apocalyptic movies that I can say of this side of movies that I've been watching for a while is The Book of Eli.
I really like that movie. It was a good movie. I was like, this is an amazing movie. It was really, really good. I wish it was longer. I really do. I wish there was more to it. I wish there was a part 2.
I Am Legend. Those are a type of what I'm saying post-apocalyptic, meaning that all of some of your being a doctor is great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Being a nurse, but nobody cared about if you were the best fry cook or maybe even the most slit throat CEO, because again, looking at the world now, of how it is and how we treat each other, and going back to your original thing, we just treat each other badly right now. And if we don't change, just like anything else, if we don't develop into whatever, we'll just die off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like everything else. It evolves into something or it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple. I'm not sure what I know we spoke about this before, and you probably are the one who said that, but the only thing and I thought about this the other day when I was walking in front of my job and was looking in the holes in the ground, the concrete, and grass and stuff was growing out. It was manicured lawn, but grass was still growing up. And I was like, the quote exactly was, humans are the only people that's holding back vegetation.
Yeah.
Because if you leave a yard or leave something unkept for 60 days, you leave it unkept for 120 days. But you leave this unkept right here, this little bit of area unkept, and you can leave it just like this with everything up, establishment, everything. Eventually, you leave that unkept for 10 years. You're going to leave that unkept for 10 years. This is going to overgrow.
Everything.
The vegetation is going to take over.
And it's going to get the house.
It's going to take everything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the only thing that don't stand, and you know what gave me that vision in my mind when it was said was Red Dead. Because sometimes you riding off into the woods and then you run up on what looked like a hut, but it's a house that has been weather beaten into the ground, but it's got all kind of stuff growing through it, trees,
yeah,
all kind of stuff. So
news, like, and things that are just growing, things that have been growing. Like, I just watching vines grow around something and then just take it down, and you're like, what are you gonna? You can't do anything about that. Like, you can cut them, but
like we looked at the aloe plant and the dirt that was on one of the branches and how it grew out the dirt, to that height. You'd be like, well, it started from there, but that was what, 3 to 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
So
We're the
times
stub.
times that by, a 10-year period in 3 or 4 month time frame. That's out the what you call it. If that make it to the inside the ground, that is all over the backyard.
And that big one made 3.
Yep.
For all
it made 3,
Yeah.
which made 4 plants in total.
And that was just in the span of a few months and stuff like that. That's just an aloe though. Even plants in the desert, they can survive. Like it's like people think that this world needs us and we need this world. And so if we go extinct, this world will go on. Animals don't need us. Animals don't. I'm like, and the funny thing is, animals even they can develop relationships with humans. We know that for sure. Elephants, how they respond to human everything. So it's like the only people that are missing out on anything is us.
You know what I just thought about? Let me see if I can articulate this correctly. If you own any other species except human, if you own any other species but human, right? It's called a pet, right?
Yes.
The moment a human owns another human, it's a slave. A human to own another human is a slave. But to own an animal, it's a pet?
It's a pet.
I like zoos, but I don't really like zoos.
Nah.
Yo, look here. Imagine if you had no choice as a photographer. You was a photographer and a videographer, and your job at the circus of the world, you had to take pictures in Charlotte. Because that's where the zoo was.
I'm sorry for anyone that saw my facial expression change.
You had to stay. That was your job in the zoo of the world, to stay there. That's what you making animals do at the zoo. Their natural habitat, don't get me wrong. Everybody can be like, oh, they saving, say that that's why they wasn't strong enough and that's why they're extinct. But again, you have the human element up there.
And it's weird because we have museums for dinosaurs and we're like, oh, this is the skeleton, like, you can see
anthropology all over the world, everywhere.
And it's like now we have I think there's either a zoo or this place that's replacing their animals. No, it's a circus. They're replacing their animals with holograms. So I think they'll still work the same, but probably a couple routines will not be in, but it'll be just holograms and stuff like that. But it's weird how we have zoos still, but we have museums for dinosaurs and all these other animals. And I say it because you'll have an entire sculpture that could move and do all these things, animatronics and stuff like that. And yet they're, for preservation purposes, understandable. That's why I like preserves. I love, animal preserve places like that. But when it's just like for entertainment, you literally could do the same thing as a museum. You could sculpt it, because we're going there to see the animals. And I hate to say it, but like, if you really want to see an animal that bad, just go to its natural habitat.
If it's just thinking the same thing, like, Go out there,
Yeah.
Um, coming up, the dynamic changed in some form or fashion. Because if you go back to those times, even during the quote unquote Wild West, all of those humans lived in the outdoors, the among the animals,
In
not
huts.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with
I mean,
that. But yeah,
they lived out. They were able, and maybe they had a house, but they went hunting and set in,
with these animals.
yeah, and then a thing wasn't about wasting them at one point in time until, what we have now. But I believe that's why we are realizing that's why they coming out with this Impossible Whopper thing and blah 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 and meat impossible, this and that, and veganism and all that, because I think they, the writings on the wall is too many people and not enough meat as protein. So they just trying to do something different, because basically, how close are we to getting to be able to have a planet that's habitable? How close are we to that? Who talks about that? Or how so many rabbit holes I could jump down with that.
Even on that note, the only people that know about it is like SpaceX and NASA. So just imagine how much information you have to weed through before you tell someone, oh, this is a habitable planet. How much else do you know, though?
And how would you, for what we know, not saying they don't, but for what we know, they may not know nothing.
Yeah.
They may know this is coming.
They can know everything and nothing.
Yes.
Separately or at the same time.
And I'm always trying to, I can't even say that, because I was gonna say I'm always half glass full, but not so much. I'm always leery about what these intelligent people know.
Yeah.
Or what they work on. Because everything in this country, to me, is definitely based on something of some sort about being capitalist. And if you can you can leverage something or make a dollar or improve your position, by all means, it's a lot of political chess moves that everybody is. I got to do this. I got to work that. I got to be political. I got to look the part. I got to fake it till I make it. Everything, all that. Why?
For what?
And that's what I want for my family is to everybody play a position as strong as possible and bring in as much capital as possible and let us make money off of that and live off the percentage. That's plainly as simple as that.
Here's a little, I guess it's like a observation or question. I've been noticing a lot of what we do is trying to get back to domestic lifestyle. But in this day and age, obviously, we can't go back completely to domestic lifestyle without there being a huge sacrifice or, I guess, just different things like that. from home births to diving into, I guess, I wouldn't call it the extreme side, but just different things like essential oils, crystals, different things like that.
Gotcha.
Veganism or hunting, which, the more southern, you're going to get things like that for other people. Yes. Building your own houses and utilizing solar energy or just different things like that. Now, with that being said, I noticed things like that are only for specific people, but trends, I wouldn't even call it a trend. It's not a trend. But things like veganism are more accessible. And it is, some people see it as a diet. Most of the time when I hear people reference it as a diet, they usually are more so on the vegetarian side. But when they reference it as a lifestyle, they're like, oh no, like I'm vegan. Like it almost feels like its own belief system now. But with everything kind of trying to go back to being domestic, do you think, I find it kind of odd that we'd start this late?
I don't. I think,
I guess odd isn't the best word to use.
You know how agendas get pushed?
Yeah.
Okay. So at one point in time, supersize was a thing.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
It was. Okay. All right. So yeah, buddy. Take that in. All of it. So
oh man. Dang, that was a decade ago.
So
that is like 10, 15 years ago.
Okay. And then that whole whatever that was leading up to that.
Yeah.
It just didn't become that. It led up to that, right?
Yeah.
So now you got, it came bad light, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then it was salads. They had the shaking salad and all that. Yeah, everybody had their salad crave.
Wendy's.
Soup and salad, everybody. Fresh salad. Dressings was on the rise. You know what I mean?
It wasn't just ranch and like Italian. It was like Caesar ranch, $1,000.
Vinaigrettes coming out all the vinegar. Like they had
pepper infused.
Cobb salads, Hawaiian salads,
eggplant,
chicken,
not like chicken Caesar, but like berry almonds and stuff like that. It's like, you can add fruits to your salad. Like,
so then you got to, okay, let's hook this up. Then presidencies came along, healthier lifestyle, kids, all that.
Yeah.
Then healthcare did its thing.
That kick.
And what left during that time was trans fat. Remember that was a run and a half. If you had trans fat, it was like what people look at places that has plastic straws. You still got plastic straws?
Yeah.
Or places that still let you smoke in their establishment.
Yeah, it's like,
wait a minute. You can smoke inside?
That's enough to turn a family around. We'll find another restaurant.
Yes. Yep. So, just veganism and that sort of thing might be what is now what this thing is.
Mm-hmm.
This thing for right now.
Because
I've been not taken away from it. I love eating healthy. I do. I've loved salad since I was back in the Navy when I was one of my homeboys was like, for his birthday, Kurt wanted me to make him a grilled chicken breast salad. Like, I absolutely love salads.
Yeah,
I absolutely love them, and they're good. And I'd rather have that than cake. That's
100%. Jesus.
I'm a more of that snack type of person, but that's me. But sometimes I like my sweets, but for the most part, I think I eat decently healthy. Like, I still have my junk, but I eat what I'm supposed to. And that's come from, my dad. He ain't eat no vegetables. His thing was all his green had to come out. It was a Heineken bottle.
I was about to say it came out of a Heineken.
And he was serious about that. So now they on this thing, and that's how I'm taking it. Maybe it's something that they seeing as far as information wise, is saying that, okay, this might be healthy and we going for this. We can make some money off it, however long it lasts. Or it may be, look, you can't convince me now. All these people eat this many pounds of food for this amount of money, this many times a day, for everything. You know what I'm saying? There's not enough chickens.
No.
There's not enough cows.
There's not enough animals.
Yes.
We don't breed enough like that. They don't breed enough in general.
No. I don't care. Like, yes.
It's such a weird word.
So now you got farm raised things.
Grass fed.
Huh? Like, why you gotta say that?
Like,
what else you gonna?
What else are they gonna eat? Yes.
And then it's that grain, which you can tell from the meat and the size. Like, you seen some of these drumettes or wings themselves? Like,
why is it that big?
Well, yeah, like. That's like you said with the bananas.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
I was like,
yeah. So
it shook me up when he said that. Or I can't remember if I was on Twitter or where I was, but I just remember. No, I was on Twitter. I was scrolling, and so I was like, hey, yo, bro, and they were just like, hey, yo, y'all know bananas supposed to have seeds in them? Because I was today years old when I found out, and I was like, huh, yeah, you're right. That's 100% right. And then there was a picture, and I was just like, huh, I never would have thought that they was supposed to look like that. But yeah, because it always baffled me. I'm like, where do they get these bananas from if there's no seeds inside? Unless I'm just eating the seeds. But even when you sitting there chopping banana, I never see. I was like, yeah, something's up. That was one thing that really got me. And then freaking artificial vegetable broccoli. That was the other thing that really shook me up. They're like, broccoli's not a real vegetable. I was like, what? They're like, you can't just grow broccoli. And I was like, yeah. And I hate to admit things like this, but like, it's things like that where I'm like, I hate that you're right. Because it's just so weird to think about. I think the most random comment was like, you ever seen a baby pigeon? And I was like, no. They're like, it's government made. And I was like, okay, now. I went, and that's when I had to look it up. I was like, okay, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know. This little girl, she was like, I think pigeons are government made. And she was like, well, I was like, why? Like, yeah, you ever seen a baby pigeon before? And I was like, go look this up. And I was like, this is now, honestly, I think about that like repeatedly where I'm just like, man.
I thought the little birds that I saw, it gotta be. I'm not believing that at all. I've seen too many little birds in the hood, and they just grow up to be baby pigeons. Like, if that's the case, how Mike Tyson have all them pigeons? He had pigeon coops. I don't care what that little girl say. What you saying? Mike Tyson had a whole bunch of full-grown pigeons at all times? Get out of here. You go with that.
I went and looked it up, though. Baby pigeons are a thing, but there's a reason that we don't see them as often as other baby birds. But then again, I'm like, when do we ever see baby birds? What's up, guys? It's your host, Detavius. So I actually have planned to split this in two, and that is why you're hearing this now. And so The next episode should be following after this one, and of course it will be labeled. But I wanted to split this into two just to kind of space it out enough to where it's not like one super, super duper long episode. I might do this in the future, or I might just start making them depending on how they roll out, just one specific episode. But I wanted to kind of give you an update and also do an outro for this and not just leave the outro high and dry. But thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to share with your friends, request, comments, all that good stuff. You can also find us on, if you're listening to this, you can find us on Spotify, YouTube, and hopefully, Apple Podcasts, and maybe some other places. Not sure yet. But if you have any requests, you can email us at breakersofbreadpodcast@gmail.com, or you can simply just go to my Instagram at Kneeblack, KNEEBLACK, or comment on YouTube under the comments section, of course, where all the videos will be. And just a quick update, some of them may or may not have footage, but most of them should, and if not, then there'll probably be a graphic, just a little tidbit. But again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and the next one should be right above or below this one. Thank you again, and peace, drink water, and have a blast.